Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. We're back here in my sweet spot of filming locations because guess what? We have another video review in the series with my very own FL5 Civic Type R. But before we get into the 5 things I hate and the 5 things I love about my new Type R, let's talk about what's going on here. Remember, the whole purpose of purchasing this vehicle is to kind of show you a lot of the behind the scenes things. We're going to do some modifications along the way. I got some track days I have scheduled later in the year, but I also want to talk about things like ownership, what it's like to drive on a daily basis, and especially always a hot topic are the 5 things that I hate and the 5 things that I love about this 11th generation of the Type R. Now what's interesting is that when I take it to cars and coffee events, when I'm driving around town, people that are in the know and see that championship white and they see what it is, they get very excited, come up, they want to talk about it, they want to see it. So it is really cool to share it with a lot of people. But like I said, has it been all sunshine and rainbows with this vehicle when it comes to ownership? We're going to go ahead, dive in, and find out the 5 things I hate and the 5 things I love about the new Type R. Let's go ahead and dive in. Now, of course, people love negativity, so we got to start off with some of the things that I hate. Number 1 is going to be the amount of gloss black. Not only do you have gloss black all along the lower lip section, including those functional vents closer to the center grille, but the whole top grille is in gloss black. And it bothered me so much that when I had the vehicle PPF'd, which if you haven't seen that review of the video going through paint correction, PPF, and ceramic coating, I'll leave the link to that video at the end of this one. I actually had them put PPF on the plastic trim to try to protect that gloss black. Even on the heat extractor up top, a lot of gloss black heavy. It scratches easily over time from road debris, sand, and all that other stuff, really causes it to look aged. And that's definitely one of the things that I hate, especially compared to the FK8, because the FK8, the previous generation, didn't have all this gloss black. The other thing that I hate, number 2, that I could start to talk about the front of the vehicle is kind of a combo deal. It deals with not only trim pieces inside and outside, but those trim pieces, some of them not even being functional. So back here, once again, on the front corner, you may think that this corner area is a functional air curtain like it was on the previous gen. It is not. That's totally blocked off. So to have that trim there, and especially for it to not be functional, is a thing that I hate. Now, I'm gonna come down the side and we're gonna touch a little bit on some of those pieces and what's gonna be number 3 on the things that I hate. But as we're walking back, like I said, that gloss black on the mirror cap, it's not too crazy, but you could see how top, bottom, and in the center, it's gonna be all gloss black. And what we did was we actually had them put PPF on this area of the door, because think about it, when you're opening the door, where's your hand gonna go? It's gonna go here. This could get a ton of swirl marks, scratches, and everything else. On the lower portion, this bad boy definitely had to be wrapped in some PPF, being gloss black. And I'm gonna have Steven kind of zoom in and focus on this area right here. I call this the rock catcher. On a regular basis, I'm having to clean rocks and pebbles out because of the sticky Pilot Sport Forest tires flinging rocks in this area. They all collect in there. And that could be a problem because they could get lodged and then they could start to scratch the actual championship white paint besides the gloss black. But of course, just like all the other gloss black pieces, had them wrap that in PPF. Working our way towards the rear, I think the wing is one of those things. In gloss black, I don't really mind it, but there are people who are either getting the rear wing painted, body colored, or getting it wrapped body colored to kind of make it blend a little bit more with the way that the FK8 was. There's still a couple more fake vents. Even Steven thought that this one was real. On the back area, I like the way they hid the DOT required reflectors, but that back area on both sides, totally fake, and they're gloss black. And then number 3, on the things that I hate that I'm gonna talk about on the exterior of this car, is down below. Exhaust, I don't hate the way it looks. What I hate is the way it sounds. Even with an active valve that they put in that center larger outlet, it's still so quiet. And the fact that it's got a soft rev limiter to where you could barely rev it to 3,000 RPM does not make sense to me, especially when you think about the money, the engineering, and all the other expenses that it took to put that valve in there and not get a little extra sound. But what I want to do is, before we pop the hood and talk about some other things, let's go ahead and fire up my Civic Type R and see if you hate the sound as much as I do. All right, guys, we got the hood popped on my FL5, and right off the bat, the thing that I love, the number one thing, the first thing that I love, and probably the biggest of them all, is that sweetheart of an engine. That 2-liter inline-4 turbocharged engine has now been bumped up to 315 horsepower. May not sound like a lot in the days of 807 horsepower Hellcats, but you know what? For a vehicle this size, and a front-wheel drive vehicle at that, to have that kind of performance really is extra special, especially with on the 11 gen, on the FL5, you could rev it all the way to redline and it pulls like a steam locomotive all the way to that red line, whereas in the previous gen, there was a bit of a fuel cutoff, which kind of ruined the party as you get higher in the revs. Another thing that kind of falls within performance, so I'm not just talking about horsepower, I'm talking about the torque, talking about how it revs, I'm talking also about space underneath the hood. Compared to the previous generation, they actually have more room to make it easier to work on or modify, which we will be doing some mods to this FL5. And then I think another thing, especially if you have a previous gen, is the cooling. They actually, by opening up all of the grille area, both top and bottom, they're saying that they've brought enough air into this engine compartment, especially with the larger heat extractor and where it's placed now. Instead of it being at the back portion of the hood, it's actually at the front, that is going to help alleviate any of the track day issues people were having with the previous gen. But why don't we go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and close this hood, because we're now going to talk about number 2 with the things that I love about this FL5 Type R. Nice light aluminum hood. Close it, wham bam, thank you ma'am. This is number 2. The things I love is the fit and the finish and the look. I'm throwing that all into one category, and I'll be honest with you. I bought a 2017. First year, it was the first one in Palm Harbor. It was rally red. Some guy wound up, couldn't get financing, so they called me up and they're like, hey, do you still want this Type R? And this was before anybody really was in the know that the Type Rs were gonna be in such demand. They sold it to me at MSRP. Wasn't my favorite color, even though I like rally red even more in the newer FL5 Type R. But one thing that I noticed was that the vehicle, remember those were built in England, and the fit and finish was not fun. It was not fun to look at, especially like I remember on the front grille, the top grille would pop out from time to time in certain areas, and I would have to try to pop it back in. And some of the gaps around the car surprised me, because usually when you think Honda, you think that bulletproof, well-built vehicle, and it just didn't happen. Now they improved it from 2017, 2018, 2019, especially by 2020. They improved a lot of those issues, but it's nice to see brand new vehicle, and the fit and finish is fabulous. Plus, and this is obviously something that you could say hate or love, I love the look. It has a nice wide front end, just like the FK8. You have those wide fender flares, and then another thing I love about the look is how you have those amazing side vents that are fully functional, of course, really channeling that air down the side of the vehicle, and gives it not only a great look, but like I said, the fit is perfect and spot on all around the vehicle. But why don't we go ahead, let's get inside my new Type R and talk about some of the things I hate and some of the things I love. Let's get to it. All right, guys, we're inside my championship white 2023 Honda Civic Type R. I know you're saying, well, Joe, so far so good with the hates and the loves on the outside. What are your feelings on the interior? So if you've been paying attention, we're up to number 4 on the things that I hate, and that's gotta be down here on the center console is gonna be that Plus R mode. So I hit the Plus R, you get the cool graphics that come up. It tells you you're in Plus R mode. What I hate about it is that it's way too stiff for the road, even way stiff for the racetrack, unless you are on some pool table smooth surface. Other than that, even when we did the track day at Sears Point Raceway, it was really, really bouncy, and the extra rigidity, because they made the chassis extra 30% more rigid than the FK8 Type R, along with the suspension, the compression, and the rebound damping for the 4 corners in that Plus R mode, way too much. Definitely hate it. And then number 5, I know we're gonna finish those off kind of quick. Number 5 has gotta be the pumped in sound through the speakers, especially in Plus R mode. Let me see if I could pick it up with my mic. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go for a little drive with you, because we gotta do some on throttle. No Rady's Rides video is without on throttle action. It's just way too loud, way too loud. And you'll see when I take you through the twisty bits in this thing, it just doesn't sound right. So when we asked Honda, as previous, because remember I had a 2017 Type R, as a previous FK8 owner and many others out there, asked Honda, listen, we want a louder sound. They thought we were talking about the speakers and the pumped in sound. No, I want a little bit more sound out that stock exhaust. But let's now talk about some of the things I love on the inside. And this has gotta be the best when it comes to number 3. The thing that I love is this shifter. The transmission, the shifter, and the shift knob are absolutely perfect. Nice short throws, crisp engagement. I love the way, for those that don't want to do their own heel toe down shifting, it has the automatic rev match system, and you got that light bulb style shift knob, aluminum, that goes back all the way to 1997, man. And remember, back in 97, you couldn't even get a Type R in the United States brand new. Steven wanted one so bad, it didn't happen for him. That's why he's got the Type R that he's got now. Same story here, 11 Gen, you could have that same shifter, same great transmission, and it works so well, upshifts and downshifts. But why don't you come over to the business end? I want to show you number 4, the things that I love in this Type R. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. Of course, what has got to be number 4 on the list of things that I love is that dash, and there's something else that goes with it. So you have that nice, large, new digital gauge cluster. I love the way either when you're in Plus R mode, or you could set it up individually through the individual custom mode to have this screen come up every single time. It looks fantastic with the tachometer across the top. Of course, you have the shift lights, the LED Formula One style shift lights separate above it, and then you have all of your readouts and instrumentation. Now, the other thing that goes with this has got to be the new data log-R system, and that's with the infotainment system. This is when you could go to the track, log all that data, and then watch it back information-wise to see what you're doing through the different turns and everything. Plus the fact that this system, you could pull up all the readout information. So you could actually go into the system and get all of your gauges to come up very clear, almost very similar to the Nissan GT-R. the way it's got the individual readouts for all the instrumentation. But I'm gonna get into the back seat because I need to talk about number 5. We've already covered the 5 things I hate. Let's talk about number 5 of what I love about this Civic Type R. All right guys, back seat time, and you know what? This is where number 5 is, and number 5 is definitely gotta be when it comes to usability. I mean, you got 4 doors, you got that rear hatch, lots of room. I'm 6 feet tall and I feel perfectly fine. Up front, it's even a better story because not only are these seats nicely bolstered that are gonna be very usable through the twisty bits or your track day, they're actually very comfy, even driving around town, which is unbelievable because of the size of the bolstering, but definitely usability is something that I love. Now, while I'm back here, I might as well retouch on one of the things that I hate, and that's gotta be the trim. Remember how I talked about on the exterior, those fake vents and the gloss black all over the place? Back here, I don't know why they did this, but on the previous gen, it had this plastic all the way down the back. Now they just did it in the middle. Either they did that to give a little bit more leg room, or they did it to cut costs. Not sure. I still like the way it says Type R, just I hate the way it does not go all the way down. Because when it went all the way down to the back, the bottom of the back of the seat, it looked like a one-piece race seat. But now you don't have that. Another thing when it comes to trim, there's no freaking connectivity back here. No USBs, not even a 12 volt. So people sitting in the back, I feel sorry for them because they better make sure that their phones aren't gonna die. And it's a tradition. I know a lot of people are like, why Honda, why do you not allow us to have 3 people in the back? It's a tradition to not have that center. You got your 2 cup holders, no armrests, but you do have the red seat belts for an additional 5 horsepower. Let's get into the cargo area because I want to go for a drive. I don't want to sit here in my Type R. I want to go on throttle. So let's check out the cargo area and see if it's usable. Hey guys, this is a hatchback. Even though for this generation, they definitely give it a more sleek style over the previous gen. But just like before, you lift this up, you're not gonna argue with that usability. I mean, this has more cargo space than some small SUVs. And what's great about it, very low, so you could get taller items. And of course, those seats are gonna fold down and give you extra usability. But I don't know about you, it's all about the love to me. Let's go ahead, let's get into my Type R and go on throttle. All right guys, we're inside my 2023 FL5 Type R. I'm wearing my to the door panel shirt, and you know what we're gonna do? On throttle, here we go. Just love taking this car out for a spin, down my favorite twisty roads. And it does not behave like any other front wheel drive. This gearbox is on the money, just spot on the money. And of course the brakes feels really good. So balanced, so composed. But remember, it's not all rainbows, moonbeams, and sunshine. I'm not really digging the pumped-in sound. I actually have the pumped-in sound on the lowest setting, which is comfort, because I have it all set up through the custom individual mode to have the Plus R dash, to have all of the Plus R steering, throttle sensitivity, not the suspension. Suspension, like I said, I hate it because it's way too stiff. It needs to be on a billboard, tabletop, smooth surface to really get the true benefits from it. But I'm loving the interior. The seats are just so comfy for short drives, long drives, track drives, twisty bit drives, and everything in between. And then of course this gearbox is simply superb. This is really where you feel all of that development that Honda has done through the gearbox, through the steering, and the way that they refined the engine for 2023, not only to give you more horsepower and more torque, but it's just smoother all the way around. But I mean, even when you're rolling on throttle, there's a turtle in the road, I had to go around a turtle. Even when you roll on throttle, it just really pulls nicely. It's like you're not having to downshift because you're not in the revs. And if you're wondering about the turtle, nobody's behind us. He made it across safely. If it looked like he wasn't, I would definitely pull over and save the turtle. The turtle does not deserve to die. Not today. Not ever. And definitely not by getting run over by a car. But visibility is awesome. Loving how you sit in the car, and it just really allows you to be well in tune with all the different inputs, all the different things that's happening with the car. You feel it through the steering wheel, through the seat, as you should. Second gear, 3,500 RPM. On throttle, here we go. Pulls, pulls, pulls. All the way up to 7,000. But I'm telling you, it really does punch above its belt, or its weight class, I should say. The sound really isn't too bad in the comfort setting, but in Plus R, it's just unbearable. But it's crazy because you think you have to shift and you don't. I'm still getting used to all the intricate things that this Type R is all about, especially with the gearing, but you really think like you need to be downshifting and upshifting more, and I like doing that because this gearbox is just so magical, but you don't have to. You could hold the gear and just let it work through the rev band, because unlike a lot of other turbocharged engines, it pulls so nicely through the whole rev range. But definitely the sound, and like I said, Plus R mode it's just too stiff. For the road at least. Alright guys, I have it in Plus R mode so that you can hear that extra loud noise being pumped in and just see how much I bounce around here. I'm gonna slow down and let the car out in front of me give me some safe space, try to be as safe as we can while we're going through the twisty bits. But we're gonna do second gear again. 3,000, 3,500. On throttle, here we go. On the brakes. But the sound, it just, especially as you get higher in the rev range, but the feedback is just phenomenal. And you can see it's a little bit more bouncy. Thankfully, this road is super smooth. I mean, I could run Plus R mode on here and still feel good, but with the sound, and like I said, certain bumps, it's gonna hit on the harder side. But they really said, when they really did what they said, when they said that the chassis is more rigid by 30%, you can definitely tell easily. But I hope that this has been a nice little part of the driving experience with this love-hate review. I need to get back to where it all started and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, this has been a good one. Having some fun going on throttle, but also talking about the 5 things I hate and the 5 things that I love about my new Civic Type R. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with where I went with? Were there other things that maybe you would have mentioned that really bother you or that you really love? Let me know in the comment section. Also, let me know if you like these types of continuation reviews where we take the vehicle and really dive super deep into all of the facets of what it's like to be behind the wheel. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile coming back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Radies Rides family. We got to give it up, Stephen Flood Photography. Check him out on Instagram. It's real easy to find him. Just type Stephen Flood and it comes right up. He's the one and only, and he's also a die-hard Type R fanatic. He actually has a Type R badge tattooed across his chest. So thank you, Stephen, for your dedication and all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.